Hey, hello, I'm Balance, and today I'm going to be showing you how to maximize your midriff in Final Fantasy XIV. Now, the midriff describes the part of the body between the chest and the waist, and it seems simple to showcase this body part, but with the way that characters are segmented in Final Fantasy XIV, this gives us some unique challenges. So, you see, characters in Final Fantasy XIV are segmented in the middle of their body. You can see this line very clearly by putting on a tight-fitting shirt or pants, and the line exposes itself. Everything above this line is generally occupied by your torso slot, and everything below it, well, that's pants. This means that while wearing a crop top will show some midriff, if we really want to maximize it, we're going to need to look into pants, and more specifically, what are the lowest pants in Final Fantasy XIV. First of all, swimwear is banned as they're not really going to give us the same vibe as actually like low-cut pants. Pretty much all of them are tiny and only cover what they absolutely need to, and I don't think you need someone on the internet to tell you that a bikini is skimpy. With that said, underwear that could pass off as shorts, or shorts that might be on the verge of underwear, will also be mentioned, but I'll be sure to give my opinions while we're going through the showcase. Another thing that I'd like to add is that certain gear is locked to certain jobs. I'll be going through each of the gear sets so that you can see what your main class can get away with, but I'll also be covering the subtle differences between male and female fashion, as well as gear that just changes how it looks depending on your chosen race. But strap in and lower that belt because we're about to get started, and to start, let's talk about gear that everybody can wear. This is going to be a collection of pants that can be worn by any class, and most of which can be worn at any level. The Megdeca bottoms from the Megdeca attire in the Mog Station are a short pair of pants or a long pair of shorts. But what's interesting about them is that they are basically an inch lower across the whole waistline, and are very simple and dyeable, making them a great choice for a mid-tier midriff showing, regardless of the rest of the outfit. But quickly showing them up is the Pegos Gaskins, which are super low riding and dyeable as well. These are from YoRHa content, but are relatively early in that. These particular pants are purchasable from the market board. There are also a lot of armors that copy this exact model, but are suboptimal due to the class or dye restrictions, making the Pegos Gaskins the easy choice for this particular model. The Griffin Skin Pantalettes are cheating a little bit with those straps that ride up a little bit, and they border on the line of underwear. They show midriff, so I'm showing them here, but their age is very noticeable. The texture is starting to look a little gross. Next we have the Palika Saurel, and this is a dungeon set from the Vanaspati dungeon. Interestingly enough, the whole lot of them, be it Fending, Maiming, Scouting, or Aiming, or the other ones, they all use the same model with very slight alterations, but are all together in showing off more midriff than the average pants, while being dyeable no less. Technically, these aren't for everyone, since there is one kind of class that can't wear this pants model, and that's Gatherers. Crafters get the same model from the Pact Makers set, which takes on the appearance of a Palika set item, allowing crafters to get on this fashion statement as well. But Gatherers simply do not have an option here. And while we're on the topic of broad outfits, we're going to narrow our eyes just a little bit, and I'm going to showcase gear that specifically works on male characters. The Thavnairian Tights are clearly shorts, but definitely could be seen as underwear or lingerie, which would disqualify them. I'm sure you could pull these off as shorts, especially since they're fully dyeable, but they are a treasure map glamour piece, so expect to pay a pretty penny on the market board or get the boys together for some maps if you want a pair of these. Also, on female characters, they're just straight up underwear, so disqualified. They're not allowed. The Bergsteigers half-slops from the Bergsteigers attire in the Mog Station have low-riding shorts, but it isn't equipable by females. If this set ever does get cross-dress compatibility, it will work for girls too, but for now, this is just for the boys. The Moonfire trunks are debatable since they're literally swimwear, but I think we can let them get away with this one because While they look like shorts, they're dyeable and they're crafted via Weaver. Unfortunately, the female counterpart to this, the Moonfire Tonga, is just not so obscure about being just a bikini, so it's disqualified by my arbitrary rules that I just made up on the spot. And we have a similar story with the Taffeta loincloth, which could totally pass as shorts for guys, and is great at emphasizing a certain body part. These are fully dyeable and crafted by weavers. Unfortunately for the girls, these are very clearly lewd apparel on females, and that kind of disqualifies the ladies from wearing these to show off midriff. But it's not all one-sided. There are some things that work for the girls that just don't work for the guys. Starting with the Nezha Lady Slops, which is a Mog Station item from the Nezha Ladies attire set. These ride low and also give a bit of leggings to work with. Unfortunately, the male version, the Nezha Lord Slops, are just completely regular in terms of where the pants sit on the body. Next is the Fair Kohakama, which is available as a dungeon set too, with some minor alterations, but this is the event and thus Mog Station version of the outfit, which is dyeable and equipable on all classes. For females, this is a very low riding skirt with some Eastern style stockings to go with it. Males get this weird, like, underpants thing, which totally disqualified, but even if they weren't, the interesting thing about these pants is they completely delete your ass. So, completely unacceptable even if they weren't disqualified. Like, you're just it's just gone. It's gone. You have no ass. The Fairy Tale Princess's long skirt has a subtle dip in the front and is a great dyeable option if you're willing to part with the $18 for the whole Fairy Tale Princess set attire from the Mog Station. And much like the items before, this is a unique case of a skirt that shows more midriff, as most of the skirts in Final Fantasy XIV are very high riding. And finally, for the girls, we have the Valentione Tights, which are a very slightly lower riding shorts with long tights down to the legs as well. These are a bit of a weird situation since they come in 3 flavors: Rose, Forget-Me-Not, and Akasha, which are essentially the same outfit but in a different color. But then again, they're also dyeable, so well, get whichever one you want, I guess. They're $5. And now we can get into actual armor sets and which pants of them you can use for the maximum belly billowing. I went from new to old on these, so newer gear will be touched on first, and it'll get older and the textures will get worse as we go on. The Lunar Envoy's trousers, which is tome gear for fending and striking, so that includes all tanks, monk, and the samurai, will get these pants that peak a little bit in the front and down in the back a little bit as well, but are regulation height on the sides. The YoRHa Type 55 for fending and maiming includes tanks, dragoon, and a reaper, and are slightly lower all around and are obtained from the Nier Autonoma Alliance raids. The Moonward Gaskins of striking, casting, and healing all share a model, and give the slightest little tiny peak in the front, but not much else. It's better than nothing, I suppose. The Paglethin armor has an interesting pants for striking, scouting, casting, and healing. Striking and scouting sets get these ruffled cloths, along with disheveled socks, while the casting and healing sets are more short-shaped in general and have a very notable frontal dip that shows a lot more midriff. Ninja gets a sort of unique pair of pants with these loosely fitting, barely hanging on look from the Nabaath bottoms of scouting. Interestingly enough, gathering classes can get their own versions of this model through the Snow Linen and Bright Linen bottoms of gathering, as well as the Land King bottoms, all sharing the same model. The Dairyumaku set offers a low front and back facing dip for all classes except tanks and aiming users. Now, speaking of aiming classes that are noticeably absent from this list, the Alexandrian bottoms of casting and healing offer a very low riding option, but is a great example of just how screwed over aiming gets in this particular metric. If we look at the aiming version of these pants, it looks basically the same as the casting and healing variants, with just some added material at the top, basically disqualifying it from being a midriff shower. Next, the Omicron trousers of Fending and Maiming offer a low riding option with some techie vibes. I will note that on females, there are some holes in the legs in the front and the back. These are, however, covered up on male models, but the pants still ride just as low. The dragon skin breeches of Fending, Maiming, Striking, and Scouting all share the same model and are a dyeable leather aesthetic. And this model has a lot of different equipment that take from it, but these ones are dyeable and readily available on a wide variety of classes, so these are generally the optimal choice. Phallic slops for healers and casters offer a decently low option, while not sacrificing anything at all in terms of busyness of the design. Also, these pants have scuffed Unbalanced logos on them, and I kinda love that. And finally, from Roll-Locked gear, we have the Replica Dreadwyrm slops of Striking and Scouting, both of which offering a small peak, but the real winners are the Replica Dreadwyrm sets for casters and healers, who have probably the lowest pants in the entire game, that dip down in the front probably lower than any other gear. Even underwear doesn't go this low. So if you're looking to maximize your midriff, this is probably the best pants to do so. However, they are regulation height on the side, so if you're going for more of an all-around look, that's not going to be the option for you. Now, moving away from role-specific gear and more into job-specific gear, there are some pants that are only equipable by one singular job, and we're going to go through them now. The first one is the Anemos 7th Heaven bottoms for White Mage. Now, this is unfortunately only an option for the males, because it's a nice low-riding pant for males. However, if you switch to a female character, they just become a bikini. The Anemos Pacifist Gaskins for Monk offer a option for both genders instead, and are just a low-riding pair of shorts. The Anemos Chivalrous Cruises for Paladin are an unlikely option and an unlikely class to be wearing such material, so this is one of the rare chances that you get to have a unique midriff showing off equipment for Paladin. Now, for the productive classes, we have the Tackle King half slops for Fisher, the Field King slops for Botanist, the Cauldron King slops for Alchemist, and the Mill King's slops for Weaver. Now, these might not be preferable because generally with a productive class, you'll generally want to wear the same gear for all 8 of those classes or all 3 of the gatherers. So having specific gear for like a Fisher is generally not usable because you're going to switch off of Fisher onto Botanist, and it's not going to work anymore. The Corral Tights offer Bard an asymmetric design, both in where the pants rest on the waist, and also in the design of the pants themselves, with each of the pant leg having a different design and a different color. And funnily enough, the Mechanist and Bard also share similar pants with the Parrot Liege and Bird Liege breeches, which share a model and offer the aiming classes a small reprieve from being denied so much midriff. And finally, the Goetia Chausses for Black Mage are a great dyeable option, and they ride super low indeed. There is, however, the one issue. They kind of make it look like you pissed yourself. You can't get around that. They do not have a flattering design, unfortunately. But that is it for job-specific gear. Let's get into some racial-specific sets, and we can see which races are better at showing off their midriff. The YoRHa Pantalettes for female YoRHa is super cheating, and while I'm aware these aren't technically sleep or swimwear, the vibes are completely off on this one, and is therefore disqualified. The RA Pantalettes for female Aura are a pair of cute frilly shorts with just enough leather binding them that they totally don't look like underwear. The Rodigan leg straps can totally pass as low pants and are getting a green light from me. The Miqo'te loincloth totally passes off as a miniskirt and are just stylistic enough to not draw any further attention than what being a cat girl already does. On the male side of things, the Hyrian breech is right a bit low and could totally pass off as shorts. The Mikote Zaves are passable as shorts and right a bit lower than the average pants. Now for the final item for discussion, we have the Hempen Underpants, or Hempen Pantalettes if you're a female, and these are totally underwear, I get that. But the interesting about these is that this gear changes its look depending on your race, and I don't know if this is documented anywhere, but it actually appears different depending on if your here is a mid or Highlander. Male Highlanders get really low riding shorts with windows on both sides to show off some thigh. However, female Highlanders get something that looks a little bit too much like underwear and doesn't unfortunately pass the vibe check. Female Midlanders and female Vieras get a small piece of fabric in the front and the back. And since these do have a tiny bit of leg, you could pass these off as non-underwear, but you're really pushing the limits on that. Male Ellison get a pair of long pants that drip ever so slightly in the front. Female Mikote get a very frilly pair of pants, and due to this, they kind of end up looking more like underwear than anything else. The female auras are just cute enough to pass off as shorts, but do bear a lot of tropes associated with women's undergarments, such as the inclusion of ribbons. Oh, and how could I forget? The lowest pants you can wear on Lalafell is... FBI, open up! Now, I want to give a special thanks to my Patreon supporters for this month. For as little as $1 a month, you can help me make videos like this without sponsorship deals or running them down with mid-roll ads, which are getting absolutely unbearable, aren't they? Additionally, Patreon supporters also get access to my videos a whole day early, so go check out my Patreon if you want to support me. And thanks so much for watching until the end. I hope this video was informative, or at very least entertaining. Like the video if you liked it, sub to see more like it, and I'll see you in the next video.